Because as we've grown up, we've all been conditioned to think of me, mine, me, my, mine. Everything comes, everything about us, whether it's people, whether it is property, whether it is money, whether it is physical objects, everything comes with that word before it. My brother, my family, my father, my property, mine. So I do something for what is mine. I do something else for what is not mine. Swami lived his life teaching us nothing is mine in one sense. The whole world is mine in another sense. And he taught it very, very practically. Let me tell you another incident which I learned the hard way. This was sometime in the early 90s. The setting was Kodaikanal. Swami would take a group of students with him to Kodaikanal. In the early days, it would be a very small group of 15, 20 people. Slowly it got enlarged. So I was one of those fortunate enough to be part of that group. Like a loving father, he would one day, till the boys go, he would give money and say, go shopping. So the boys would go shopping, and then, he would want them to go and buy something, because you go home, so buy something for your mother or brother or father or sister or grandparents. So the boys would go shopping. He'd give them money. Some of them won't spend that money because that's a note given by Swami, so I want to treasure it. And he would get annoyed. So, no, I gave you money to go and buy. So then they would go buy some things. So, and then, typically like at home what we would do is you buy something and so you show it. You have an elderly grandmother, so you show her, I bought this for you. Or so you'd say, what did you buy? And he would see. So he found that many of these boys had bought a plain gent's shawl, which was very nice and soft. And quite a few boys said one after another, I bought it for my father, I bought it for my uncle, I bought it for my grandfather. And that pattern seemed to be repeating. Okay. So that session was over. All the boys were sent back up to get ready for the evening bhajan. Swami was in the room, I was standing in one corner. Suddenly Swami asked me, you saw that shawl? Because quite a few had repeated, I presumed that Swami, I said, Swami, that plain shawl, yes. Go and buy 100 of them. I'll take them with me to Puttaparthi. Very nice to give people. When Swami has a program, he would give people. On some occasion, he would give people. So he said, go and buy 100. And we'll take it to Parthi. It'll be good for me to give. It's nice to give. I said, okay, Swami. Then he went in, he came back. He came with some money, gave me the money, and said, you buy 200. I said, okay. As soon as Swami went for bhajan, I set off for the market. Swami said, these are from the Tibetans. So there's like most hill stations would have these Tibetans putting up stalls. So there was this colony of Tibetans having a row of stalls selling these woolen articles. So he said, buy from those Tibetans. I said, yes, Swami. I went to those Tibetan shops. I naturally didn't want to say I've come for 200 shawls, so I asked for the price of one, tried to bargain. Then I said, what if I buy 20, what if I buy 50? It actually turned out that they didn't have so much of stock. So then I thought I'll go around buying whatever stock a person has, 5 for one, 10 from one, 15 from another. I need to collect 200. But I needed to be sure that all 200 were the same or similar stuff. Could be different colors, but they were the same or similar stuff. So I went from shop to shop. I finished the entire row of Tibetans. The surprising thing was that they all held on to the price. In fact, in at least a couple of shops, yes, I want to buy this shawl, okay, 100 rupees. I'm talking of 25 years ago. 100 rupees meant something in those days, not today. So 100 rupees. I said, what if I buy 25 of them? You know what was the answer? 110. You would expect, how much is this shawl? 100 rupees. What if I buy 20 of them? You expect them to come down to 90 or 80. Here is this guy saying 110. A few shops later, same answer. What if I buy 10? What if I buy 20? The third shopkeeper who gave me the answer, I was wondering what's wrong. So third shopkeeper who gave me that answer, I said, something is wrong with you guys. For one shawl you say 100, and when I said 20 shawls, you say 110. Then he revealed. He said, Saab, kisi ke paas stock nahi hai. No one has stock here. So if you take off everything, we want a higher price. I said, I still didn't understand. Sir, we will take 100 from you because you are an Indian. You will bargain. When a foreigner comes, we will take 200 from him. He said that. He said, when a Gora comes, we will take 200 from him. He doesn't know. He is paying in dollars. So if you take away my entire stock, you think I am gaining, I am actually losing. I said, these guys are very smart businessmen. Okay. So mentally I thought, I didn't say anything. Mentally I thought, if you guys think you are a smart businessman, I mean even a smarter businessman. I will now start trying to find out from where you get those shawls. Because they all have similar products. They are not weaving these shawls. So they are getting it from somewhere. So now I said, look, I want 50 shawls. Tomorrow morning will you give me? No, so I tried to change my tack. I said, I want 50 shawls. Will you give me? No, sir, we don't have. I said, how soon can you get me? I started asking different questions. To cut a long story short, I finally managed to get the information out from them that they all get it from a factory which is about 40 kilometers away in a particular place. So, I said, how soon can you get them? So one fellow said, day after tomorrow. I said, no, I want it tomorrow morning, at least you should get me. This is not tomorrow morning, but I'll try. I have to get it. From where? I have to get it from far. Okay. So like that it went. So next fellow I said, look, I'm leaving Kodaikanal tomorrow afternoon. Sir, it's physically not possible. I have to get it from this place. So like that I got the name of the place out from where they get. Some more inquiries, and finally I found out. I thought I was being really smart. I really found out from where they get those shawls. So there was a particular factory which was 40 kilometers away, down from where they were all getting. Now, can I really get from there? They don't have stock. What if the factory doesn't have a stock? So I went back to Sai Shruti. I was thinking I will not report anything to Swami, I will keep quiet. And I kept quiet. Swami also kept quiet. So I was very happy because now what to tell Swami, I was wondering in my mind. How do I plan now? So these guys are all acting funny. They are not going to give me the 200 shawls even at 100 rupees. And basically common sense says if I can buy one shawl for 100, I should be able to buy 200 shawls for whatever, 90, 80, 75. But definitely not for 110. Maximum, these guys will give me the shawls for 100 rupees. I am not willing to buy 200 shawls for 100 rupees when they are selling even one shawl for 100 rupees. So that was my pride with saying, why should I be paying 100 rupees for 200 shawls? Now what do I tell Swami? Do I tell Swami, Swami, there is this factory, I'll get it from them? Or should I get it from the factory? I was wondering how to get it from the factory. I can't leave Kodaikanal without Swami's permission. And in those days, today there is a big organization there, there are Sevadal there, there are people there. In those days, there were very few Sevadals who would come from some district or the other, some local devotees. So the network was not so strong. So next day morning, I spoke to the state president at that time. And I asked him. General Mahadevan was the state president, so I asked General Mahadevan. I said, sir, he said, I don't know. I'll find out. He also didn't know. I said, is someone coming from this place? He said, I'll find out. He didn't get back the whole day. Whole of the next day, he didn't get back. So I concluded he is not able to. Obviously, he's finding it difficult to find some Sevadal there. He doesn't have information. So I caught hold of another elderly gentleman who was from Coimbatore, who was also regularly coming to Kodaikanal and looking after all the arrangements there. He's passed away now, Mr. Sachidanandam. I said, sir, can you get me this? He said, we'll find somebody who'll get. Now in all this, 2 days are over. So on the second day, I found Swami was looking at me. So I presumed Swami is wondering why I have not reported back to him. He's asked me to do an assignment. He has even given me money. So I looked at Swami and I also didn't know what to say. I smiled. So Swami said, "Ye mainda." By now I had picked up a little bit of Telugu. So Swami said, "Ye mainda." So I knew what Swami was talking about. I said, "Swami, it is like this. I went round the market. All these Tibetans are acting very funny. And they're saying, we'll give you one shawl at 100 rupees. And if you want," I said, "Swami, nobody has 200 shawls. You can buy 20 from 10 people and get 200, Swami said. I said, "Yes, Swami, that's what I thought I'll do. But the moment I tell somebody that I want 20 shawls, he's saying he's going to charge me 110 rupees. So I didn't buy from these Tibetans. Then what are you going to do?" I said, "Swami, I just managed to find out that there is a factory at this particular place called Porur, which is 40 kilometers from the foothills of Kodaikanal. And all of them are getting shawls from this factory. And I have inquired what the price from the factory is. And the factory just got a reply this morning that the factory will give us the shawls at 70 rupees. I was very happy that I was buying that shawl, which is these people would have given at 100, if not 110. I was now buying it for 70. And I'm sure anybody in this hall here who's done business in his life will agree that any businessman will say, cut the middleman, go to the original source. Anybody who's dealt with money, and all of us have dealt with money, will say we should never spend more than, if we can buy something cheaper, we should buy something cheaper. So here I was actually for 2 days, I had made lots of phone calls, caught hold of a lot of people, made lots of inquiries, and finally managed to get this information. And here I was trying to put the plan into place, saying now who will go to Porur, get those shawls and bring it. And I said, now anyway 2 days are over, I have not reported to Swami. When the shawls actually come, I'll report to Swami, Swami, here are the shawls. And then I'll tell Swami, Swami, it took 4 days to get or 5 days to get because we had to get them from this factory which was here. But I was very happy anyway. Now that Swami is asked, and Swami didn't ask till my information was in place. Till all my inquiries had borne fruit, he didn't ask. And I kept quiet. I thought I'll get a pat on the back. You've done something very good, because I genuinely thought I'd done something very good. I'm saving a lot of money. Okay. So here I was as a Swami, we'll now get it, instead of paying this price, we'll now be able to get it for this price. It'll come, Swami, in the next 2 days. I got the firing of my life. Didn't I tell you to go and buy from those Tibetans? You are a very mean man. You can think only in terms of money. You measure everything in terms of money. And I'm just telling you the sum and substance of what Swami said. The actual firing was much longer and had so many more things. You can think only in terms of money. Do you realize these Tibetans, how devoted they are to me? And then he narrated an incident for which my only answer was tears. Some of the photos that we saw in the slideshow here, when bhajans were going on, was a visit which Swami had made to Kashmir in the year 1980. So he said, when I had gone to Kashmir, we went to the market, and Swami himself had also gone, I believe. We went to the market, and these Tibetans, we all bought shawls from them. Everybody bought shawls. When I looked at a particular shawl, and I liked that shawl. I told somebody to buy that shawl. They went to buy that shawl, and this Tibetan said, "We will not take money for this shawl. We would like to give this shawl to Swami." How they found out that the shawl would go to Swami is inexplicable. But for Swami, this was a link. He narrated that story. He said, when I went to Kashmir in 1980, this is what they did. You don't need these Tibetans, they've been displaced from their motherland. They have no place of their own to call their own. They've come down to India. Why do you think they've come down to Kodaikanal? You think they can eat sambar? I fully agreed, because on the first day in the hostel, when I was given rasam rice, I refused to go for dinner. You think they can eat sambar? They are staying here only, they have to earn their livelihood. They have no home of their own. You think I need these shawls? My storerooms in Puttaparthi are full. I don't have to buy anything. Devotees send me lots of things. I'm just buying these 200 shawls from these people only to make them happy, only to fill their stomachs. And here you are, you can measure my gesture only in terms of money. Go right now, buy those shawls at whatever price and come. And here I was, I didn't pay 100 rupees for the shawl, I didn't pay 110 rupees for the shawl, I paid an average of 160 rupees for the shawl. 5 days later, after I thought I'll get it from a factory at 70 rupees a shawl. Of course, I was ready to pay 160, because if I had gone back to Sai Shruti without those shawls, I don't know whether I would have been allowed to stay there that night. So here is Swami, who looks at the heart. Here is Swami who looks at your intent and not the money. The same Swami who believes that every rupee of charitable money which comes to him must be used properly. Every penny that comes into the trust would have to be used in such a way that the donor's confidence in giving it to Swami was well justified. It is the same Swami for whom the Tibetans were just one part of his large family.